Hello, folks. Welcome back to Human to Human. That's the weirdest intro ever. I'm about to give you permission to change your mind about anything, anytime, anywhere, with anyone, because we all need a little bit of that. And let's start it off with the most embarrassing TMI part of this episode, which is waxing my vagina. That is one thing among many that I have changed my mind about. Back in December, so many months ago now, holy shit, this December is closer than last December, and that's scary. I talked a little bit about my first ever Brazilian wax that I had ever gotten in my life, and it was awful. And what proceeded after I got my wax, like the actual waxing was obviously painful, but not as bad as I thought. But then the day, and then the day after, and then the day after were absolutely horrendous. And I said, and I vowed, that I would never get a Brazilian wax ever again. Then the swelling and the redness went away, and I went on vacation. This was last Christmas break, and I had a fantastic time, and it felt so wonderful to be able to just like let everything hang loose. Not that like my actual cooch was out, but like to be able to just like walk around in a bikini on the beach. I was in Jamaica living my best. Was I in Jamaica? Yeah, I was in Jamaica. For a second, I don't know why I second guess myself. Well, it was a long time ago now, almost a year ago. And I just felt so comfortable and free to be able to just like not worry about like my pubic hair just hanging around. So I was like, you know what? I might do this again. I don't feel ready to do it right as soon as I got back from my trip and like was in the deep parts of winter. But not long after, I think it was only about a month after, I changed my mind. And I said, I'm going to get another Brazilian wax and I'm going to try and stick to it because my waxer lady, she's incredible. Let's call her Linda because that's her name. And Linda was like, just come back whenever it grows back. Don't shave anymore because then, you know, it'll be less painful and it'll grow back very slowly. So I was like, Linda, I'm going to believe you. And for some reason, I'm going to like stick to this and I'm going to pay you $35. The $5 was a tip. The 30 is the regular rate. And I'm going to stick with this for a couple months. And I actually went 5 times and didn't shave for that entire time. And what I loved about the wax was that the hair grew back so much thinner, so much slower, and really actually like weirdly sporadic. Like regularly, I feel like all the hair kind of grows back at the same time, but I would find that there would be like patches of no hair, but then like other parts of like really thin hair. So anyway, loved that for a couple months for me. I just felt like I would like strut around all completely bare down there, but every single time I went, I could not handle the first couple days after. I just would be in so much pain. My pee would spray everywhere and get all over my butt cheeks. It would get on my thighs. It would go all over the place. I even got different remedies to try and help. Like I got like a natural aloe vera lotion to like rub on it and not use any of the lavender lotion that they give you at the salon. And I was going to say none of it was working. Obviously none of it was working. You're supposed to have hair down there, so you're not really supposed to rip it out if we're talking historically what our ancestors did. So I can't remember exactly like I remember what my breaking point was. This was interesting. I was at a Rachel Hollis event in Toronto, and if you listen to the podcast, you know I love Rachel Hollis, and she literally it was hilarious. She's still on tour, I think, right now, but she was basically just like telling really funny, silly TMI stories, very much like I do. I want to do that one day on a stage to make all of us giggle together. And so she literally was like, okay, show of hands, who waxes on the regular? And it's so funny because if you asked me that 6 months prior, I would not have raised my hand. I 6 months before the date I went, I would be like, I've never gone one. I don't know what it's like. But at this point, I had gone regularly. So I raised my hand and she just goes, why? She's like, it's the 70s down there for me. She's like, I don't find any reason to do that anymore. And then she would just like continue to tell hilarious stories and we were all peeing our pants. And I don't know, something clicked for me. And I was like, yeah, why am I doing this? And originally I was like, oh, like this is so nice getting a wax because then you don't have to ever worry about shaving. And I was always shaving so much more often than I was having to go for a wax. But then going for a wax just became so annoying because I would literally have to like plan it out because I'd be like, okay, I have to make sure I'm not on my period and I have to make sure it's the proper amount of time. And then a lot of times I would go too long and then it would just be like crazy down there. And I mean, I'm all for it, but it got itchy. So, and then you're like waiting around to go to this waxing appointment. And then I like wasn't telling my parents because obviously like, why do you need to tell your parents you're going to get a Brazilian wax? So then I would be like, can I use the car? And my dad would be like, sure, why? And I'm like, for an appointment. He's like, what kind of appointment? I'm like, just an appointment. I live with my parents. I borrow their cars. Like, I can't just go somewhere and not tell anybody and come back 15 minutes, more like probably half an hour later, like wobbling because I'm in pain. And I tried to go to the grocery store after that one distinct time where I had to tell my dad where I'm going. I went to the grocery store right after the wax and I was in so much pain because it was getting sweaty, but it's like bare, but it's like sticky. It's disgusting. It's just like, ow. And if you can do it, like go off. Like if that's your preferred choice of grooming, all the praise to you. And so when Rachel Hollis said, why? I was like, you're totally right. Why? And I would also have to plan it so that I like wouldn't work out for like 3 days after because I was like, I can't work out. It hurts so much. And some people are like, you'll get used to it. Or like, or some people are like, oh my God, it's just so sensitive for me down there. It's sensitive for all of us down there. It is so sensitive for all of us down there. And so weirdly, I was actually going to make this episode about how you can change your mind about like 4 months ago and be like, you can change your mind. I told myself and the internet that I was never going to get a Brazilian wax ever again, but I go regularly now. And then however many months later, I'm telling you that I changed my mind again. I'm good. Maybe if I were to like be going on some like romantic rendezvous vacation where I'd be with my boyfriend and wearing bathing suits with my ass out, sure, maybe I'd get a wax then and I would just like brace it and deal with it for the first 4 days where I'm in pain. But even then, I was laughing with a coworker recently and I'm like, I like to think that I would wear a bathing suit with my ass out every day if I was on vacation with like just my boyfriend and only my boyfriend, but I know myself. I wouldn't. I'd probably do it for like a couple hours and then be like, okay, I'm done. Because you're just like, so for me, I just feel so on guard when I have my butt out in a bikini. And I'm all for the cheeky vibe, but like pure booty out, I don't even think I've done pure booty out, but like I also have a hemorrhoid. See, this is a very TMI episode. I have a hemorrhoid. So if I have something up my butt crack for more than an hour, yeah, that's right. I don't wear thongs. That's probably what you gathered listening to that part of that. It will hurt. It will hurt and it will be in pain and then I'll be in a bad mood. And I don't want to be in a bad mood on a romantic rendezvous vacation with my boyfriend. That's hypothetical because we don't have the money to do that right now. We would love to, but it's not happening. So I just want to like sit back and weirdness of me telling this story aside, you're allowed to change your mind and change it again and change it again. I am starting brand new jobs and there's been a lot of conversation and a lot of in between and a lot of hesitancy about stuff and a lot of like fear and uncertainty. And I was just getting kind of anxious about it and stressed and like also like anticipating it happening and being like, why, be patient, Jess, but like I want these jobs to start already because I'm just like waiting and wondering what it's going to be like. And I was getting overwhelmed. And then I was like, Jessica, you can quit these jobs if you do not like them. You can leave at any time. You don't need to stay in a spot where you're uncomfortable. Even if you've made a promise, you can break the promise. Promises aren't forever. Like my favorite example, other than the waxing one, because that's a great example, is being in a relationship. When you decide to be in a relationship with someone and maybe, let's say, be exclusive and not sleep or have sex or talk to or make out or flirt with anybody else, you are making an agreement and you're making a promise with that person. But how often do things change? Do people change? Do life situations change? And then suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, this promise that we made however long ago is no longer working. It's no longer serving us. My expectations of you or yours of me or ours of the relationship have all changed. So now we have to change our minds about that original promise we made and shift things, whether that is having an open relationship or breaking up or deciding to be friends or just communicating what you expect from each other and saying, hey, actually, I changed my mind. I don't want to live across the world from you and do long distance. I would like to live in the same place, or I would like to no longer see you anymore, even though that'll make me really sad. There's so much thought that goes into life, and what a weird statement. There's so much thought that goes into life. There's so much thought, though, that goes into the decisions that we make, and I want to emphasize that having an instinctual gut feeling that something isn't right is enough to change your mind and walk away. It's enough. My boyfriend was struggling with a job recently, and he came and visited me at the cottage, and he was really, really stressed and communicated everything he was going through. And I was like, dude, you're a week in. Quit. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. You don't owe anyone anything, especially the kind of job that this was. There wasn't a contract. It was very informal. I was like, quit. Fuck it. I'm like, yeah, you've only tried it for a week, but you've also tried it for a week, and your gut is telling you you're done, and this isn't right for you, and this isn't aligned, and this doesn't feel good. Leave. And he was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And then we crafted the email and sent it off, and literally that was it. And he was 10 times happier as a human being. And then we had a fucking fantastic visit. And that was literally because he was feeling resistance and this inner gut feeling of like, this isn't right for me. And instead of ignoring it and pushing through and staying really stressed, he decided to listen to it and make a decision. And it's funny because right now we're in the exact same position where we're both like in between jobs, waiting for jobs to start / interviewing for new jobs, which is like kind of nice to go through with your life partner at the same time. But it was just such a beautiful thing to witness, his complete change in mood, vibe, and just sense of self, because he trusted himself. He followed that gut instinct, and boom, left. So let this be a reminder that you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to justify saying no. No can be a full sentence. And as much as like we say no can be a full sentence, like I use no and then I add a little few more words and then I'm like, okay, great, peace. Like I find like I have tried to over explain myself a lot before, but now I really work on cutting it down to being like, no, I'm not able to make it. Thanks for the invite. That's it. You don't need to say why you can't make it. You don't need to say where you're going, what you're doing, what you're feeling. Just cut. Peace. So, hope you enjoyed this little episode. I'm enjoying doing like, I don't really consider this a mini episode because it's not like, my mini episodes are more like, here's a thought I had while I was on a walk to a sunset, and it's all creative and artistic. And then these episodes are just like, here's a short little story. Enjoy. Here's a fun takeaway. Hope you had a laugh about my vag grooming deets. And yeah, I got lots more coming soon, so feel free to subscribe so you don't miss episodes that I released on pretty much every Monday, but sometimes I take a break. And make sure you follow at humantohumanpod on Instagram and submit a TMI story so I can hear something funny and awkward and weird that you have experienced, and it'll stay completely anonymous, and I would love to tell the human to human peeps at the beginning of an episode. Love you so much, and I will see you very soon.